20 years ago, we knew little about dinosaurs and ancient people. But for the last 15 years, information about prehistoric nature has been flowing, if not a river, then a fairly wide stream. But there are many inexplicable things that paleontologists and anthropologists try to keep silent about. There is a theory of evolution created by scientists. It says that Homo sapiens appeared 30,000 years ago, and the settlement of America took place no more than 20,000 years ago. But even before Darwin's theory, there were discoveries that disproved the same theory. In 1863, in the vicinity of a small town, an employee of the French National Museum of Natural History found animal fossils in the rock aged 1.5 million years, on which the marks left by a knife were clearly visible. Moreover, these traces were covered with minerals in the same way as the fossil itself, which means that they were left before the remains were fossilized. French anthropologists rejected this fact. They said that these were marks from the workers' shovels, or traces of ancient melting glaciers. In the same place, ancient production tools were later discovered, primitive drills and other tools. But famous scientists did not even pay attention to these findings. Then ordinary people could not show their achievements to the whole world. This path was closed to people of small professions. 2 years later, the remains of an ancient elephant and a rhinoceros were found in Italy. And how did they differ from many other remains? And the fact that the bones were processed by a human hand. Another found jaw of an ancient rhinoceros, found in France, was with interesting traces. They tried to cut the jaw. Scientists were interested in one thing. These remains were about 15 million years old. And in 1872, 5-million-year-old shark teeth were discovered in the UK. The scientist was again interested in one feature. The teeth were drilled mechanically. Tools of labor were also found on the same territory, which were more than 2 million years old. And the list could go on and on. One English scientist found a piece of petrified wood. Someone tried to cut it 500,000 years ago. And it was not insects or animals, and not the vagaries of the weather. These were the marks of a real prehistoric saw. Once millions of years ago, an ancient elephant lived on our planet. Dinotherium, and ancient drawings were drawn on his carcass. And there were found tools that were made by human hands. Academics did not believe the scientist. It simply never occurred to them to change the theory of the great Darwin. Subscribe to our channel, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. Press the bell to not miss new and interesting releases from our channel. Already in the last century, a group of researchers found a glacier in the United States. The origin of the glacier occurred 80,000 years ago. But how surprised paleontologists were when deer antlers were found in the glacier. The horns have been crafted by man. The great minds of anthropology forbade talking about this find. Not a single respected newspaper or magazine began to mention this find in their articles. It was forbidden to do this for a reason that could turn the worldview of all mankind. This would be a disgrace to all outstanding academics. And for Mr. Darwin too. After a short time, anthropologists were excavating near San Diego. They found several bones of a mammoth that lived 300,000 years ago. The bones were cut with a stone knife. This happens when cutting meat. There must have been a sensation. But again, the great academics did not even examine these remains. And not a single scientific journal has written an article about these amazing finds. To admit that millions of years ago people walked the earth, scientists again did not have the courage. In the 19th century there was such an Argentine scientist, Florentino Ameghino. This guy, along with the employees of the Museum of Natural History, went on an expedition to a place called Monte Hermoso. Anthropologists found stone tools, processed bones and ancient fires on one of the beaches. All this was preserved in a layer whose age was determined at 3.5 million years. Great scientists agreed that these were human footprints, but refused to believe in the date of this discovery. Years later, another scientist discovered ancient tools on another beach that turned out to be 2.5 million years old. A special commission was invited to that place. The evidence was undeniable. But again, there is a barrier. The commission found 1,000 banal reasons not to believe in these findings. In 1912, another anthropologist, while on an expedition from the Argentine Museum of Natural History, discovered several interesting finds at once. These are ancient hunting and household tools dating back to 2.5 million years ago. This is a processed stone-ball bolus and several flint knives, as well as flat stones, very similar to those with which the Argentine Indians at the beginning of the 20th century still made fire. Another find found in the same place simply defies any explanation. These are the remains of a toxodont with a fragment of an arrowhead or a pike. Until now, anthropologists are not sure that the ancient man hunted this animal, because he was still a primitive primate. Even if this fossil got into the sedimentary rocks from the upper layer, it would still be ancient. The age of the rocks lying above was estimated at 400,000, 1.5 million years. This caused a loud debate among connoisseurs of the prehistoric era. And these disputes continue even today. Most academicians and professors are unwilling to believe in such discoveries. They do not even believe the evidence presented to them. For them, new and amazing discoveries that can destroy generally accepted theories are tantamount to death. The same situation happened with the found skull from the Argentine quarry. The age of the find is 1.5 million years. Skull found in rock. Conducted breed tests. It turned out that this stone layer really formed more than 1 million years ago. The great minds of paleontology have started talking outright nonsense. They didn't even try to answer adequately. For some reason, there is also a taboo here that prohibits saying certain things. 1979, Tanzania. An old volcano that was active over 3 million years ago. Fossil prints of human feet were found there. Anthropologists muttered something unrelated. Scientists must open doors to the world of the past. But it is to their advantage to keep such doors locked. There are no other explanations. Now let's enter the world of dinosaurs. In theory, anthropology should not be associated with deep paleontology. Should not intersect. Anthropologists should study people. Paleontologists must study very ancient life, which began much earlier than human life. But here, too, some interesting developments arose. In paleontology, it is believed that the maximum time for the preservation of DNA is 125,000 years at 0 degrees Celsius. In bones at temperatures from 0 degrees Celsius to -5 degrees Celsius, this time can stretch up to 6 million years, but this is the maximum lifetime of DNA. Paleontologist Mary Schweitzer of the Chinese Academy of Sciences initially raised hope that dinosaur DNA could be preserved. She saw soft tissue, blood vessels, and even undecomposed protein, collagen, in dinosaur bones. Such tissues have been found in the remains of a Tyrannosaurus rex and a Canadian Brachylophosaurus. From the remains, it was possible to isolate the DNA of pangolins, despite the fact that DNA is generally very sensitive compounds. Often they cannot be isolated from the remains of the bodies of murdered people if they were exposed to temperature or acids. Schweitzer found 174 fragments of DNA, although the age of the lizards was estimated at 85 million years. But at that moment, the scientist abruptly changed her mind and began to deal with the fact that DNA cannot last long enough. She chose the path of the main theory that dinosaurs cannot be cloned. Why did she do it? Did someone stop her from doing it? Very strange. Although the possibility of finding intact dinosaur DNA is close to absolute zero, some researchers studying skull fragments from Montana claim they have found signs of life in ancient platypus lizard cartilage. I would like to add my opinion to everything that is happening. Laws and taboos come and go. Mankind is not progressing so quickly, but it is moving confidently and without stopping. What used to be unshakable and monolithic will subsequently collapse, and a more perfect, real and believable one will take its place. Did you watch the episode to the end? Give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. Subscribe if you haven't already. Press the bell so as not to miss new and interesting releases from the Real Unreal channel.